Hi, I'm Anna Greenland and I'm an eco-gardener. When I first started my journey into eco-gardening, I realised that the gardens that were grown in this way were vibrant, they were beautiful, there was a mix of flowers and herbs and veg, they were full of insects, full of bees, and it just felt like a very happy place to be. And I realised that all the chemicals that you see on the shelves in the garden centres sometimes were just unnecessary. And then when you come to eat the produce, it tastes so much better because you know that it's just been grown with good compost and lots of love in a healthy soil. So today I'm going to show you how to make a no-dig bed. No-dig is a way of eco-friendly gardening. And instead of turning the soil like we would traditionally in a vegetable garden, it is mulching on top with compost. You're not disrupting that soil structure underneath. So there's lots of bacteria and fungi and earthworms. There's kind of a living ecosystem in your soil. And if you're digging, you're disrupting that ecosystem and disrupting the soil structure. So no dig is a kinder way of gardening and it's kinder on your soil. When choosing where to put your bed, most vegetables love the sun. There are some vegetables that will tolerate a bit of shade, so things like leafy greens and brassicas, salad leaves. But on the whole, you want to be looking for the sunniest spot in your garden. The other thing to bear in mind is shelter. So vegetables really hate being battered by the wind. And if you're living in a town, the likelihood is you've probably got some fencing, which will offer a bit of protection. But if you're on a really open site, like we are here on this sort of windy hill in Suffolk, planting hedging, as I've done here, is a really good idea. So the first thing we're going to do is lay the cardboard down on the grass, on the lawn. And that's the beauty of making a no-dig bed, is that you can go straight onto the grass. You don't have to lift the turf, you don't have to do any digging or ground prep. So the cardboard will act as a weed suppressant, essentially. It will hold back the grass while you're putting your plants in and they're establishing. It will rot down after a few months, but by that point, the plants will have bedded in, so it'll be okay. This hasn't got any shiny covering, there's no plastic tape, there's no coloured dyes. So I'm going to make a 4-foot by 8-foot bed. For me, that's a really nice size. 4-foot width means that you can reach the bed from the sides, and then the 2-foot paths are nice because they just allow enough room for manoeuvre. You can get a wheelbarrow up between them. So for me, that works quite well. I've overlapped the cardboard just so that the grass doesn't have any chance to kind of sneak up between any cracks in it. I'm quite lucky actually with this patch of lawn. There's no nasty weeds, no perennial weeds in here. If you did have brambles or nettles, you might want to clear those out first. But if you're just going onto your normal grass lawn, then this is fine. I'm using wood today just to define the edges of the bed and to contain the compost, but it's not permanent. It allows the compost to settle and then I can remove the wood at a later date. But if you don't have access to wood, that's absolutely fine. You can just put the compost straight onto the cardboard and it will still work well. I've used a set square just to get my corners good right angles, but if you don't have one of these, you can just use something like a cardboard box just to get that right angle in place. So I'm just using these bamboo stakes just to hold the wood in place, but you could use bricks, you could use stones or rocks. It's just to support the wood while you're putting the compost in. When it comes to compost, when you go to your local garden centre, always look out for peat-free organic compost. Peat-free is really, really important. The peat comes from peat bogs, which are a really important ecosystem, so we don't want to deplete those. And then organic means that there's no residues of pesticides, there's been no synthetic fertilisers used, so that's the one to look out for. The great thing about no-dig is that it doesn't really matter what soil type you've got, so if you're on heavy clay, if you've got a very poor soil, it's actually okay because you're mulching on top. So I'm just giving this bed a good stomp. I wouldn't normally be doing this on normal garden soil because it would compact it, but compost is a lot lighter, and so it means you can walk on it. And I'm just doing this to make it nice and firm to plant into, getting the compost out into the edges of the bed and giving you a nice firm surface. So I'm using about 7 centimetre depths of compost here, and that's about the minimum you want when you're going onto a lawn. If you use more is always better, but obviously if you're using more compost and you've got more depth, you might want to use slightly higher bits of wood. This compost has already got a good amount of moisture in it, but if yours is a little bit on the dry side, then just get a watering can, give it a good water before you start seeding and planting. And there we have it, a no-dig bed, simple to make, and it's an eco-friendly, easy way to start your vegetable garden.